Welcome everyone to MRM Sports. I'm your host, Ronald M. Man, GameWeek 21 is upon us. I mean, two huge games to expect. The first one to kick off the game week, Liverpool hosting Chelsea. Mid-table clash. Who would have thought, beginning of the season, this would be a mid-table clash? I mean, would have automatically thought this might be a battle for top four, but then no. Or a battle for top four, West Liverpool is going for the title. Or Chelsea trying to get top four. But then no, it's a mid-table clash. I mean, both teams, same points, different goal difference, 9th and 10th position in the log. It is what it is. And of course, the big one, Sunday. Arsenal taking on Manchester United. Now, this is a top four clash. This is a Premier League title chasing game. I mean, it's a 6-pointer, it's a no-brainer. The first time around, Man United won 3-1. This time around, Arsenal at home. Man United without Casemiro. Anything goes. If Arsenal win this game, the confidence is up again. After City's victory versus Spurs, that 4-2 win for City on Thursday night, man. But then this is the game. This is the game of the weekend. I'm a Chelsea fan. I love Chelsea through and through. But then we all know the Liverpool-Chelsea game. I mean, it's basically saving face. Whoever loses that game, I mean, more questions will be asked of them. For example, if Potter loses that game, questions will be asked. Is Potter good enough? I mean, he hasn't defeated anyone in this season. The only draw we got was against United. Against Spurs, it was still Thomas Tuchel. So, it's one of those, man. And if Klopp loses this game, the question will be asked, how far have Klopp fallen? Has Klopp's team fallen? But then in his defense, he did defeat Manchester City. He did defeat Tottenham Hotspur, although he lost to Arsenal and United. At least there's 2 victories against the traditional top 6 sides, you know. So it is what it is, man. To kick off, like I said, the first game of the weekend is the Liverpool versus Chelsea game. As a Chelsea fan, I did listen to Graham Potter's press conference, man. He had some key things to say, and at least he did mention that Modric, the new signing of Chelsea, can play and will play a part. Because I need to see him. And it's a pity he says he won't play 90 minutes, but then never know in football. I mean, anything can happen. Maybe he's on fire. You can't just take him out because he's a new signing. If he scores 2 quick goals and he's having the game of his debut of his lifetime, man, you can't really say, nah, I'm still adapting. Let him run the... I mean, think João Felix, for example. If Felix hadn't got that red card, I think we would have seen him play the whole 90 minutes against Fulham. So, in as much as Chelsea need a victory, I think... if Modric is having the game of his life, we should give him the whole 90 minutes. And of course, injury is still hitting the team, man. I mean, you players with one back are still out. Your Kantes are out. Your Rhys James, I think James and Chilwell are training in the team, but I doubt they'll be thrown into such a huge game. But if they're fit to play, man, if I see them on the bench with the hope that they can play 30 minutes, or even 60 minutes, or rather them start the game, chop them off with 30 minutes to go at the hour mark of the game, or something. Don't expect to throw them in because they are defenders. In as much as they can change the game. I mean, if we're 2-0 down to Liverpool, what would be the point of throwing in Rhys James? Because now, if it goes to attack, Liverpool might just exploit us on his wing, man. So, I hope Graham Potter really does well in this game. If it's a defeat versus Liverpool, this Liverpool side, it'll be difficult to take, but then I think it's the man of the defeat. As long as the ref is not Anthony Taylor, if anything goes, if you play well and then we lose, unlikely lose or make a mistake and error at the back, then I can accept it. But then if Liverpool just wipe the floor with us, dominate us from the first minute, then I'll be more worried about Graham Potter. I'll be more worried because his Brighton team actually defeated Liverpool. Even when I was coach of, no, it wasn't him, but then it was just a few weeks after he left. They drew 3-3 at Anfield. So Chelsea have to try and get something from this game. I think even if it's a draw, just don't lose this game. I'd rather Chelsea draw this game than a loss, definitely. So how do I see this one going? I mean, Liverpool, I think the usual players are out. I mean, the usual injured players, your Van Dijk, I think, is out. Your Nunes and the likes, I think they are still out. So we will expect to see the same Liverpool that started at Brighton and against Wolves in the FA Cup to actually start this game. But we'll see how it goes. How do I see it going? Liverpool versus Chelsea. You know what? I will go for a 2-1 Chelsea win. I think I need to believe. I just hope Havertz doesn't squander chances because I feel Graham Potter loves that kid to death. Maybe it's his son-in-law or son-in-law to be or whatever, man. I don't know. You never know. But then seems like Graham Potter loves Alves to death, so he might give him the jersey. And then, of course, let me just jump into Sunday, the big game on Sunday, man. It is Arsenal versus Manchester United. How do I see this one going? I mean, Arsenal are on form. Arsenal are the informed team there. I mean, we're still waiting for the Arsenal ball to drop, man. We're still waiting for Arsenal to drop the standards. I mean, it's now a matter of will they drop the standards. It's no longer if now we know Arsenal can bottle it. I know it's still early, still January, almost half of the season played, really. No, it's actually half of the season played. But then Arsenal, I mean, when they drew against Newcastle, we thought it wasn't one of those games where Arsenal were bad. It was just Newcastle defended very well. When they drew against Southampton, that's when I thought maybe the ball was dropping, but then they immediately picked up the pace. When they lost against United, again, it was one of those that they played really well. Even though they lost, it was a bit of naive. They were a bit naive in that game. But then they really didn't deserve to lose that game. And the next game, they quickly picked up the ball. So this is again another tricky game. And United not having Casemiro. I don't think Arsenal, other than the injuries, you know, your Gabriel Jesus and the likes, Arsenal still have that full-strength squad which defeated Tottenham Hotspur 2-0 away from home, man. So you can imagine at home, that place will be buzzing. I mean, it's fine how cycles go. In terms of cycles going in football, where this game, I mean, for the longest time in the early 2000s, was one of those title deciding games. And then this season around, it has that same feel to it. Because it's been a while when both teams are really like in and around the title. This time around, it's always been City and Liverpool and a bit of Chelsea here and there, and the Spurs here and there, and the Leicester, if you go down that road here and there. But this time around, it is Arsenal in first, man. Man United in what? Is it in third or fourth? I don't know what the point did to them against Crystal Palace. But then speaking of Arsenal, man, it's difficult to see anything other than Arsenal victory in this game. In as much as I would want a draw for both teams, because I don't like both teams, but then in as much as I would want a draw for both teams, it's actually more difficult to see how that is achieved. Because from a United point of view, if Casemiro was there, and then you play your Fred to maybe Mark Odegaard like he did with Kevin De Bruyne, maybe you could almost vision that draw. But then, if Fred marks Kevin De Bruyne, who plays in the holding midfield, does he go with Martinez and then Luke Shaw and Malacia and Varane and Wan-Bissaka before? Maybe can do that. But then I haven't really, low shedding is it, I haven't really seen Martinez play as the CDM of the team, as the anchor of the team. So it's interesting to see if he goes down that route. But yeah, it will be interesting to see how he goes, how Ten Hag plan this game. But it will be crack of a game, man. You almost wish this game was on an early kickoff Sunday. Like I know maybe for TV rights and and stuff and broadcasters rights, time zone to accommodate the whole world to watch this game. It makes sense for them to kick it 6:30 CAT time, man. But then sort of those that you really wish you could see on a Saturday, just to enjoy more football on a Saturday. But then again, I guess them giving us the Chelsea Liverpool game will make sense. And then on the Man United side, man, I think against Crystal Palace, the second half, I mean, a 1-0 net is never enough. I mean, ask us as Chelsea fans. Against Palace, I mean, the last dying embers of the game, I was really worried that Crystal Palace can rock up with an equalizer at any time. So 1-0 in the Premier League against any team is never good enough. It's never good enough. Anything can happen. Any team can get a penalty, can get a dangerous dead ball situation like Crystal Palace did against United. So I think this will be a message for Ten Hag. If you can at Arsenal, try to go 2-0 up. Just at the quick of a flash. If you can put Rashford through, try to go 2-0 up. And again, it will be interesting to see who he starts, Ten Hag, who he starts in this game. Does he go with Weghorst up front, man? Or he just goes maybe with Anthony and maybe Martial if he's fit and then Rashford. Because he does need that pace on the counter. It does not need those tricky players. I think if he goes with Weghorst, I think maybe Saliba and Gabriel might be able to handle him. So it's one of those that it will be so much intriguing, man, to see the tactical nuance from both teams, from both managers, to see how they try to outsmart each other. And I think for Arteta, it'll be one of those hating games where he knows his side didn't deserve to lose at Old Trafford. So it might hurt him a bit that, you know what, I need to get one over Ten Hag. I mean, Ten Hag has been doing so much brilliantly. against top 6 sides. I think he's only lost to City in terms of, and he's also defeated them at the same time. When he played Liverpool, he won. He played Arsenal, he won. He played Spurs, he won. He took Chelsea. So really, his games versus the top 6 sides have been brilliant. They have been like a masterclass of performance, other than the City game, of course, at Etihad. So it'll be interesting to see how it does in this game. How do I see it going on Sunday? I think, for me, you know what? In as much as it might pain me a bit to say it because I have the Chelsea cheers on, I can see Arsenal drawing this game. I can see Arsenal winning this game actually. Maybe a 2-1 victory for Arsenal. But then, even a score draw, I think the because a score draw will definitely do in this game. And then I'm going back to Saturday. We have Bournemouth versus Nottingham Forest. Forest have been on the up. Even when they're away from home, they've been on the up. They're actually watching 13th in the log. And Bournemouth now look a bit in trouble. I think maybe the Forest players are starting to gel, or they've gelled because they signed so many gelled together, like car together. How do I see this one going? Bournemouth, Leicester. I think Bournemouth, Nottingham Forest. I think Forest won't lose this game. I can see. Let me go with a 1-0 draw in this game. 1-0 draw, yes. Then Leicester, Brighton. Leicester in a diabolical situation. They're playing the worst football I've ever seen Leicester play. Even that season where they survived by the skin of their teeth. Before they won the Premier League. They started playing some good football the second half of the season, especially with a few games to go, man. And you could understand they were just a promoted side. This Leicester City is good enough. It's better. The starting 11 of Leicester is better than a lot of teams in the Premier League. Maybe other than the goalkeeping position and stuff. So you'd wonder why they're still down there, man. Leicester versus Brighton. I think Brighton with Sosa gone. I think the squad against Liverpool really show that they understand the coach. They're behind the coach, tactical discipline and tactical moves and stuff. And it's difficult to see them losing away from home. But then it's Premier League, anything can happen. But I think Leicester will lose this game 3-1. I'm going for Brighton to win the game 3-1. Then another kickoff, which is at 5 p.m. Southampton versus Aston Villa. Villa are on the up. Villa are playing good football under Unai Emery, man. Southampton really, they're a shocker result against City in the League Cup, and another impressive away win. If a team fighting relegation, if I was West Ham, if I was Leicester, I would really bid for Ward-Prowse, man, just to make sure that we have another team which is worse off than us. Ward-Prowse is, I'm sure he'll be the player of the season for Southampton again. He is that player that is keeping. When it's a team, you said it to be a one-man team. I think Southampton really fall into that category where, Ward-Prowse is really the star player. Is really, in a depot situation, he's going to deliver. If you give him 10 chances, I think half of those go into the back of the net. That's how good he is. Most players, you can't say that about most players. I think he might be up there as the best free kick taker in the Premier League. Even better than some of the players in the top 6 side when it comes to depot situations. How do I see this one going? Unfortunately, I can see it being a draw because I think Southampton will be pumped up from the last 2 victories. That they'll really want to give a good showing in this game. So I can definitely see this game ending in another 1-0 draw as well. West Ham versus Everton. It's a bad versus better. Who's the better? Who's the worst of them all? It's worst versus worse in terms of football. Everton away at the London Stadium, Olympic Stadium. Who is bad? Who's really bad? West Ham have done themselves a favor really by signing Danny Ings. I hope he won't be injured because Aston Villa hasn't been that much injured. I think he's injured his days at the back of him now. But then I don't know what's going on with West Ham, man. That loss to Wolves, they just looked so defeated, so deflated, as if they're not even interested in playing the game. So who goes for that victory? Let me go with West Ham Everton. I think, I want Lampard to do well, of course, as a Chelsea fan, but then it's time to accept that he's not that much good of a manager. I can see it as I think if West Ham concede first, the stadium becomes so toxic because I've been listening to shows where West Ham fans are fed up with Moyes, man. So I'll go with an Everton 2-1 win. Crystal Palace Newcastle. Palace with a very impressive draw against United. Man United, and they're on the up. Newcastle are trying to maintain that top 4 position and possible title charge, man. how do I see it going? Newcastle left it late against Fulham last time around, and with some players like key players fit, your Isak yet, Bruno Comare, is out injured. It's difficult to call, but I think I'll go with the Newcastle. Let me go with the Newcastle 1-2 victory, 2-1 victory away from Newcastle. Then Sunday football, Leeds versus Brentford. Brentford on fire, I mean, Tony's on fire, the whole team squad is performing. Leeds, I can fight him for their lives. You never know what to get with Leeds. But I will go with the 3-1 victory for Brentford. City versus Wolves. I think City have turned the corner now. I will go with a City 3-1. City at home at Etihad. I think City will, even though Wolves have a new coach, I mean, Lopetegui is a good coach, good Spanish coach. But then I think City will be just too strong for them. And they know with us now playing Man United a bit later, they need to just put some pressure on both teams, pressure on Arsenal by winning this game. So I'll go with the City 3-1 win. As I've given you the Arsenal versus Man United prediction. Let's go to Monday Night Football. Fulham versus the sorry Spurs. Spurs have lost, I mean, back-to-back 2 huge games against top 6 opposition. I mean, the 2-0 against Arsenal at home, and then away from home at the Etihad Stadium. I mean, to lead 2-0 up and ended up losing 4-2. I mean, that's very damaging. I mean, if there's one thing you knew about contest teams where they're difficult to score against, so for a team to score 4 goals in the second half, I mean, 3 in 8 minutes, almost 4 in 20 minutes, I mean, that's very damaging for Conte. With a bounce back away from home against Spurs, I mean, against Fulham, if Fulham managed to contain a hurricane, I don't think that happens. So I'll go with the shock Fulham 2-1 win. I think Fulham will just drive that hammer, that nail, that knife into the heart of Spurs a bit more. It's a London derby after all. So I can see Fulham, after defeating Chelsea at home, are narrowly losing away to Newcastle. They want to bounce back, and I think Mitrovic will give those Spurs defenders some tough time. Willian can take on Emerson Royal any day, man. I think Willian can beat Emerson Royal any day. So I can see Fulham winning this game. Let me go with the Fulham 2-1. Don't forget to subscribe to the video and like the channel. Subscribe to the channel and like the video, man. I'm your host, Ronald M, signing out.